Welcome to State of the Galaxies. I am your host, drinking a sparkling strawberry 0-calorie drink.
What, the opening?
No, the opening looks fine, like the show.
Is that Timmel?
Oh, yeah.
Do I hear my favorite broadcaster
Yep.
broadcasting away?
No,
Did
you're
you see that? Did you see that fancy transition that just happened there?
Oh, look at the dark studio.
Oh, it is a dark.
Whose mic is buzzing? Timmel's? His mic is buzzing.
No. How about now?
All right.
Should be better now.
Watch the fancy Twin Galaxies transition. I see Mark Army, AoE, and the Galaga King. Watch this. I'm gonna wave my hand and Magic Twin Galaxies transition.
That's good.
I just bring.
See, I'm waving my hand. See, now I get no support from my support team. Can I have a Magic Twin Galaxies transition? There, look at it. Magic. You see that? It said TG and everything. I'm just saying.
We would do that.
Oh, heck yeah.
Magic.
High gain. Ooh, you can see a little bit more.
I sound like I'm on an airplane at 25,000 feet. That's Timmel.
Really? Okay. Bye.
Well, don't hang up. It's just they just hear the sound of your room. That's all. They hear your air conditioning. Greetings.
We actually don't have the heat or air on this time. It's kind of weird.
It's the hot wind of your gaming eliteness blowing through the mic. Welcome, everybody in the chat. Look, I'll tweet. State of the Galaxies is happening, so that way people can know. Right now, I'll put that on the. This is like live tweeting with liveness, and on top of that, I'm going to use voice to text. Join us at State of the Galaxies to talk about Twin Galaxies stuff! www.tglive.com. I just need to capitalize state because capitals matter. And I need to fix this www thing because it just ate itself. All right. Tweet. And Jace, how do I log on to the Skype? All you have to do is open up Skype. Well, if you're at tglive.com, there's a button that you can click below, a little blue button, and it'll open up Skype for you and call. But if you don't have that, you can just open up Skype and type in tglive 2 or tglive 3, and it'll call, and then you can be in, and then I can talk to you that way. Let's see. Also, what happened? I will send a notification. State of the Galaxies is live now! ! And then www.tglive.com. That way, when I do it this way, people will click the link and it's live right now. They don't have to wait. It's not like, hey, hurry up and wait. It's, hey, it's live right now. All right. Anyone? No, we don't hear any background noise, Timmel.
No, I can't.
I don't hear anything.
Well, he just muted it.
All right. Let's get going. Well, I have a couple of confessions to make. One is Sky is upstairs. I have been so busy, basically meetings back to back to back to back to back, that I have not had a chance to really put together even my crappy State of the Galaxies presentation and get it all in order. So I'm going to have to wing it and hopefully have a good conversation with the people who are here, can ask questions. I did get a chance to look at the State of the Galaxies questions area, but there weren't any additional questions posted in it, so I couldn't just sort of pull from that. That being said, let me just touch upon some of the high points, okay? So as you know, as I mentioned last time, we were just going to focus on fixing bugs just in all the things that we currently have. So we've been making progress in that. Hopefully you've seen some of that progress. I don't hear any hiss, Timo. When will the founders page be put up? That is a good question because that's actually in my presentation. So I'll get to that. And how difficult would it be to add a new platform to the database? It is not difficult to add new platforms to the database. We just need, an icon, and we can definitely do that. For sure, it's not hard. Are you planning on going to the Kong Off 5? I don't know. It's so far into the future. I would like to go. I'd like to go to these events that are happening, but man, dude, just trying to get out of my office. It's like, let me tell you something. I was invited today to go over to Paramount Studios with the director who's there, the Justin Lin, and the cast of the Star Trek movie, Star Trek Beyond, they were showing the movie, and it's right now. I can't go to it. So I can't even go to a brand new Star Trek movie. I'm a huge Star Trek fan. That's how busy it is. And I'm not going to not do State of the Galaxies so I can go philander off and watch a movie because Galaxies is more important.
What?
So
No, it's not. No, it's not.
there's no way I'm going to miss my Timmel time. And that's that.
Go to the Galaxies. Take a break.
All right, dude. You have like what it is it's like there's HD Films, production company I have, right? All the projects it's doing. Then there's Twin Galaxies itself. There's a bunch of stuff that it's doing. And then there's this Echo Fox stuff that got piled on top of it all. So that's it.
Sounds
Done.
like Milo.
Stick a fork in me, I'm done. What is this channel about? I really have no clue, to be honest, says Zun V. This channel, first of all, you stumbled onto the most awesome channel in the universe, but the simplest answer is Twin Galaxies. If you go to twingalaxies.com, you'll see that it's all about competitive electronic video gaming, and it deals with world records and player rankings, and it's been around for 30 years, and there's been movies. If you've seen King of Kong, there's movies about it. It's one of the original sort of esport organizations that focused only on players primarily as the point of interest and the game secondarily. And Twin Galaxies Live is a channel that's sort of dedicated to those interests, and we put on the channel a bunch of different types of programming throughout the week that touch upon that interest in culture. So it's not about any one particular video game, it's about all video games and all players, and sort of the competitive aspects of that activity. This particular show that you're watching, called State of the Galaxies, is sort of like this small show to talk to the Twin Galaxies community that aggregates on twingalaxies.com and to sort of answer questions regarding what's going on there, stuff we're planning on adding or building, taking in suggestions, all of that stuff. So that is what Twin Galaxies is, and I encourage you to go to twingalaxies.com and see what it's all about. You can browse the database, see who's the best at everything, and it's been around a long time. All this newer esports stuff. Those are the new entries to the video game universe. Twin Galaxies has been there much longer. So they're vacuuming over there. Plans for Overwatch. There are plans for Overwatch, interestingly enough. But let me get back to the presentation part, which is, so we've been working on fixing bugs. A lot of these bugs, like this string error where some people can't upload, files, IMP. I mean, these things are tricky, and that's why it's taking us a long time to fix them. We've managed to get notifications mostly working correctly. We're trying to figure out a way of integrating the tournament side of Twin Galaxies, because if you go to tournaments.twingalaxies.com, there's a whole tournament section. We're trying to do some cross integration there so that notifications on the tournament side hit your main Twin Galaxies side, so you can kind of keep up with what's going on that way. John Brissy, are you using bug tracking software like Spiceworks, Bugzilla? It would be helpful if you could say, yeah. Was it you, John? Someone made that suggestion on the site, and we're looking at that. Right now, no. We're using our pencil and paper and sort of ad hoc bug tracking software to do that, to sort of address it. But that's mostly because it's already so overloaded, the work, that it's going to be a pile no matter what. So we're working on that. We've been fixing a lot of things, like Twitch links now work correctly. They don't vanish into invisibility. That had something to do with the HTTPS versus HTTP. So all that stuff should work now. There's actually been a lot of bugs that have been fixed. They're subtle, but they're all over the place. We added the cancel feature finally to Threads, and so now you can actually cancel your own submission, and we no longer have to have a reject me thread, which I thought was a good thing, and also it will put an end to sort of those free submission points that you got by just going to the reject me thread and seeing things that people would say to reject, because once something gets canceled, it doesn't let any new voters vote on it. Only the people who already voted can change their vote, and the thread will eventually adjudicate rejected, so that those people will get the points if they spent the time to review the performance. So so that got added. We're still working on the wall stuff, which has made a lot of progress. We added the tagging. So we added tagging, then adding the tagging meaning you could type into a message, what's up, Brando, how's it going? You could type into a message, hello, I'm here, was wondering what @DataGod is doing, and when you type in @DataGod, it will actually hyperlink DataGod. DataGod would get a notification in Twin Galaxies. So we have tagging in our system, but the minute we added that, it broke a bunch of other things. So we had to take it down and then debug and fix all of those things, and then finally we brought it back online, and so tagging is back. I would encourage you to use it, because it will, if you write a message and you want people to know about it, or a specific person to weigh in on it, you can just tag @RTM, and then suddenly, RTM will show up and maybe have a comment.
So awesome.
So all the tagging in is good. Eventually we'll add into the tagging, as you type someone's name, it'll fill it out for you, like Facebook does. We don't have that part in yet. Baby steps. But yeah, a full tagging system is in there. A hashtag. You can do hashtag filtering, and if you look in your general options, so there's stuff like that. A friend of mine got promoted to project manager at XSplit. If we need anything related to that, shoot me. All right, well, good to know there. IEUE. Like trying to say that. IEUE.
Hey, we ask them to make XSplit for Mac. There we go.
Yeah, I know, huh?
Come on.
Mac gets no love. You can use Wirecast.
Doesn't work the same. Too much setup.
That's true, but Wirecast can now broadcast into Facebook Live.
But
Okay.
it can't go to you guys through Skype very well.
No, that is a true statement.
XSplit's the only pro that lets us broadcast to you to the Skype array.
Wow.
So get on that,
Yep.
friend.
On it. It's on the list. On the list.
Not you, the project manager. I don't know his name.
Along with the wall system is the follower system. I think people are going to really like that. Having followers on Twin Galaxies, who then basically, if they follow you, they will get your wall updates into their news feed. And that's important because that is a way for you to start to select who you want to listen to on Twin Galaxies and who you don't in your news feed. And then that will eventually evolve into the ability for people who are developing lots of followers to monetize those followers themselves. So that will be a good, wonderful thing. I thought we were only doing bug fixes and not new features. Is that in reference to the tagging? Is that it? The tagging was on the list of features to be done. So it wasn't a new feature. It was already in progress. So it closed out. But yeah, even closing that out generated more bugs. It's just like, man, it's like, good Lord. So, in the meanwhile, so right now, the guys are working on that string problem, to be able to upload it, because it's more complicated than one would think. That's getting worked on. Then I think following that will be the active Twitch streamers. Right now, when you go to the front page, the system may not be catching all of the people who are streaming actively and presenting it up there. It might only be catching a few of them. We know that's a problem and we know how to fix it. We're going to fix that. Okay, Twin Galaxies Live. I just want you to know that you earned yourself something right there, Twin Galaxies Live. Yes, I am yet another year older. Anyway, thank you for your kind words, but it's not that important. What's more important is Twin Galaxies community and trying to get this stuff going. Okay, so let me move on. Oh yeah, this. Okay, so I wanted to talk about this. So there's this thread that I've been reading and following relating to emulation, platforms, like what should be done, NTSC and PAL and all the things, all of these challenges that relate to how do you track and adjudicate these games and these scores, right? Like and there's all kinds of different viewpoints on the subject, and I wanted to talk just a little bit about it and get what people really want to have happen here. Okay? So, for those who don't understand what the issue is, Twin Galaxies tracks scores for platforms. So if you have a Nintendo, right, you have a physical Nintendo, you plug in the cartridge, well, we know everything. We know that that's an original machine, and you're using an original cartridge, and so your score goes into the leaderboard for original Nintendo. The question starts to be, well, okay, let's say I have a original console, but now I have this more modern disk drive system plugged into it so I can have all my games on it. So it's a modified Nintendo or whatever. Should a score from that be allowed on the same scoreboard as an original? And then from that, there's further deviation. Like, okay, there's 5 different types of drives that you could use. Do any of them alter the game? I don't know. Maybe some of them offer, trainers and cheaters and stuff. Like, how do we know? And then it gets even more esoteric, where you don't even have the console anymore. Now you have a computer emulating the console with all this other stuff. And so, should those scores be intermixed with the original scores? How do you stop all the cheating? Not everyone can be an expert on all these different emulation things. So I'm very curious, for those of you who have participated in that conversation or that concern, what do you think Twin Galaxies should do in terms of doing it, handling those things? Do you have an opinion? Timmel,
Yeah.
do you have an opinion?
Well, I have an opinion, but I believe some people have read it. But
Let's hear it.
I guess the only thing I'm concerned about, the community will handle it. The community will adjudicate what's a good emulator, what's not a good emulator. It'll police itself, I believe. My whole, argument or involvement in the thread is the organization, is in terms of how it's presented on the website. I think that's my important part. And like I said, I think, people have been arguing with me with it over and over again, but I believe it needs to be its separate platform category, not because it can't be compared to other scores, but just for simplicity of browsing the scores.
Confusion purposes.
For confusion purposes. Because if you imagine if you had Donkey Kong MAME and Donkey Kong Arcade, show up right next to each other, it might be a little misleading to somebody who's new to the website. And you've been here for a while, you understand what MAME is, and compare it to Arcade, but just for somebody new, they might not completely will understand the data if it's not separated. That's all. By platform.
So, so let's say we'll use Nintendo example. So you have Nintendo original hardware, and that's one platform. Then would the other platform be Nintendo Emu, and then all emulation is just grouped together? Or are you talking about separate Emu platforms?
No, not separate Emu platforms, no. Whatever emulator is accepted goes under the Emu, the NES Emu platform. The computer-based, anything non-original hardware.
I think the emulator thing will sort itself out after a while. I think you'll all of a sudden see one get used more than others, and then you kind of have to assume that's probably the best one.
They'll be the standard.
Yeah, the standard, because why wouldn't everyone? I'm sure some people would just prefer a certain emulator, but I think overall the best one will get used the most.
Yeah,
you have to assume
the community will sort it out.
Yeah, I feel like it will.
They'll filter out what's a good emulator, what's not, why we can't use this one, why we can't. Just like they've done both MAME.
Yeah.
There's other MAME emulators, but the referees and now even the community regulates that. Even on Donkey Kong Forum, when they do Donkey Kong,
So
there's
you're
certain-
saying, all right, so let's say you go to the Nintendo EMU, or EMU, however you want to say it, platform, and you click submit. So you click submit, I don't know, Contra. Should there be this giant drop-down list of every emulator that you say, well, I'm using this emulator, and then your score or whatever, and is just basically just let every emulator be listed, or should you only list certain emulators until the community decides if another emulator should be added? Yeah. Like, which direction would you go that way?
This is Don. I think that the emulator can probably be chosen in advance. I don't see why it couldn't. All the testing that we would do for the emulators, right, that in advance, if you allow any emulator, let's say I want to cheat, I'll just choose the emulator that's the easiest to cheat on. Why wouldn't I?
Right. I guess you wouldn't because
give me the best time.
Because the adjudicators would strike it down. Like, I guess my question is do you list all the emulators, but then have the adjudication process basically strike down all the crap, and so people will naturally just only use the ones that tend to pass? Or
I think you could do that, but basically all you're doing is generating hurt feelings and drama, right? Because there's still then an accepted emulator. It's just people have to guess what it is, right? Rather than just saying it up front, we're going to only accept this emulator as a community to basically deciding that beforehand, or basically let people constantly fail against it, right, through the adjudication system. It's just going to piss people off. I don't see any advantage to that.
Would you put RU in that category, right? Like,
well, that's a good question. So if we were to use the same emulator as Retro Uprising, that makes it very easy because then we could accept IMP files from Retro Uprising. So that's a strong argument for using whatever emulator they are currently using.
Okay, but so let's say we accept that emulator, but would we also, let's say there's 3 emulators we accept, would we list all those scores together?
That's just it. I don't see that you can do 3 separate ones. And the reason being, let's say that I want to get the Super Mario Brothers speedrun record.
Right.
I pick the emulator that is a little bit faster than the others. That's the one I use. I get the fastest time. Ergo, anyone who wants to compete against me then must use that emulator. Right. So I would say there are criteria for picking the right emulator. One is it emulates as close as possible to the original NES. And 2 is it has good anti-cheat measures for obvious reasons.
Right. So let's just say there's 3 different ones that meet that criteria. Right.
I think that's unlikely based on the research we've done so far. Emulators tend to vary a decent amount. So I think there are going to be some natural leaders in that category.
There'll be some emulators that favor some types of games versus others.
I don't think so. It's possible that would make sense, but the speedrun community and the TAS community have kind of already figured out which emulators are the most accurate to the original NES. And if they go toward that standard, meaning if their emulator is designed to be as accurate as possible to the NES, all the games should play that direction. It's not a guarantee, but ultimately, no matter what emulator you pick, there may be 1 or 2 games here that would be different on the others. Again, that's why you need one standard, because at least then let's say you all play Mario Brothers, and Mario Brothers is a little bit slower. Well, it's a little bit slower for everyone across the board. And since it's not being compared to the original Nintendo directly, it's its own thing, just like MAME would be, for instance, a Missile Command score in MAME versus a Missile Command score in the arcade.
So let's say
good things, but separate.
So say we pick like some Nintendo emulator. Everybody says yes, this is the good one, right? And then we have 10,000 scores come in for that emulator, and then a new emulator comes out that meets all the criteria and people want to use that one too, would we then commingle the emulator scores with each other?
I don't think so. And the reason being the same as what you do with Wolf MAME, right? There are plenty of other MAME emulators that people would rather use. They can't, right? You don't get everything you want. You just, in order to compete with the old scores, you have to use the Wolf MAME emulator. It's the only fair way to do it to the old scores, right? So we have to think of the personal preferences of the people who are competing in the future. I don't feel it should be weighed as heavily as the scores and effort and achievements of the people who have in the past already set scores. Which is why I think it's very important to choose the emulator up front ahead of time.
Right. No, I don't disagree with that. I'm just worried. My thinking is much like the issue between Wolf MAME and RU. Here you have two arcade emulation systems. You can't commingle them, I guess, right, on the scoreboard. And so that only leaves you with the option of either setting up a whole separate RU set of leaderboards that are completely duplicative of the Wolf MAME ones, or that's all you can do, unless you commingle them together.
Right. But if you commingle them, it's not really fair to either party, because you're not comparing like things.
Right. No, I agree.
And the argument is a good one, because obviously it would be good to include them. However, let's say that you do that for RU. Well, what about speedruns.com? Or what about, you know what I mean? So there's an infinite number of those out there. And once you start doing that, you'll find yourself doing that all the time. You might as well just open it up and say, you know, you can use a potato with, you know, electrical plugs stuck in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this is a tough one, because once you choose the emulator, you kind of get locked into it.
Yes.
Which is why Twin Galaxies got locked into Wolf MAME.
Right. And that's, to be honest, the advantage of using the original hardware. Now, that's not always practical, especially in the arcade. But that's why, in MAME, for instance, the ROMs are very tightly controlled, because you cannot compare performances on different emulators, just like you couldn't if different ROM sets on MAME, right? So Black Tiger versus Black Dragon. It's sort of the same game, but the score is different, and you can't compare them directly anymore, unfortunately. So obviously, you want to prevent that spread as much as possible, but...
Okay, so let me try to approach it from a different angle. Tell me what you think of this. I'm just throwing out ideas. What if you took any emulator and then, so you take any emulator onto in a MAME track, right? Any MAME emulator whatsoever. So RU, whatever. But there's like, when you look at the track, there's checkboxes that let you filter out, you know, only show me Wolf MAME ones. Here's the top 10 for Wolf MAME. But if you click add RU into it, then it'll intermix RU and Wolf MAME. Or then you click another checkbox and it'll add, you know, whatever, some Mac MAME in there.
I think that would be okay, with one caveat, which is the PSI, ESI leaderboards would have to be separate. So let me give you, for instance.
Right.
Someone had suggested that and you know, it makes sense on the surface. Why not have emulator, NES emulation just mixed in with the NES scores themselves, the real deal, and you just use a filter, right? But then you basically have the guy who's the king of Duck Hunt, right?
Right.
And he's got the top score. Well, he's using a light zapper. He's using a physical gun to do it. He's competing then on the leaderboard. I mean, not the leaderboard itself, but the ESI, PSI leaderboards with people who are using a mouse. Obviously much, much easier with a mouse. So he's having to defend his position on the PSI, ESI against people who have a huge advantage when he is in fact, doing the right thing by using this. Not that it's wrong to do emulation, but you know what I mean. He's doing the harder thing.
Yep.
And he gets bumped.
Yep.
So in the same way, I would say that you could do filters if the PSI, ESI leaderboards were separate, if they were unique. So basically meaning you would have effectively a different platform, they would just be mixed.
if you put them all together, yeah, it would be too much of a distortion because you'd have these cheating emus in there. Like, yeah. So, all right, this one's not an easy one to solve in general. Obviously, there needs to be something figured out because, especially as we move forward in time, emulation is going to be even more prominent to play some of these games.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, as hardware dies out, it's bound to happen.
Yeah. So, I get it. Look, I don't. For me personally, I don't have any solution in my head at this point about like how I think it should be or shouldn't be or anything like that. But it's good to talk about it and just look at it from as many angles as we can. I think the simplest answer is what you were saying, Don, which is you just sort of pick an emulator per platform that you're going to accept and set up a separate emu track for it, right?
Yeah,
So,
I think you'd have to. And the disadvantage of having multiples then, you could do that, but then you're diversifying the competition, which diminishes it, of course, just because there's more people, also, like I could submit to all 3 emulators separately and then get it combined, my PSI would be insane. So that's the downside. So
Yeah.
again, it's a reason to go back to having a single emulator just for pure practical reasons, because you kind of have
See,
to
and
use
that's what I-
a
see,
platform,
see,
and
well,
that would be insane.
See, so what I stopped development on, but I was trying to build was the Twin Galaxy emulator, right? And basically, it's the single app that had plug-in, and we would have officially approved Twin Galaxies emulation plug-in modules for whatever platform, and then everybody would use that, and everybody would have the same thing,
Right.
and then we could update that and make sure it all You know what I mean?
Right. That's the perfect solution, except of course all the work they have. It's a crazy amount of work.
Yeah, to make the app was like $40,000, $50,000, something like that, to get the engineers to do it. Like so I'd like say, okay, just hold on for a second on that, please. Just can you hold that one? But that to me would be the ultimate solution, is that, right? And then the user doesn't really even have to worry about the emulator itself, because if it just Twin Galaxies, the thing will have it, and the engineers of Twin Galaxies can make sure everything is fair. But in the absence of that, yeah, it's. But really, though, we're talking about basically, theoretically, duplicating the entire platform database, whereas like every platform basically has an emu mirror, and then every one of those mirrors has a chosen emulator that's the one that you have to use to participate in it.
I think you might be able to, rather than do it as a mirror, with the same idea. But so, for instance, one of the emulators we're looking at does both NES and Super Nintendo. So rather than do it as a mirror of NES, you could say, just like we do with MAME, the MAME emulator and all the games that it supports, you could do, I forget the name of the emulator, but let's call it, SNES emulator, whatever. You could have a platform called SNES emulator, which has both, and obviously that would be a terrible name, but both NES and SNES titles on it. And that way, when people go to the site and they say, okay, I want to play a Nintendo game, they go to the Nintendo section. But, they'd have to know to go look at the emulation section, but you could have a picture of a Nintendo there, or maybe, or something, I don't know.
You can try to combine them, but yeah, I mean, it's no matter what, it's still going to be a large number of additional platforms.
Right, yeah, you would have basically an additional platform for each, or close to each.
Well, you'd want to be consistent, but it's weird because, say like Commodore 64, right? There's Commodore 64 emulators. So should there be Commodore 64 and then the Commodore 64 EMU category platform, right? And then duplication of all the games underneath. Or do you say, well, it's a computer.
I would do it separately. I mean, that's me though. I'm a purist, but because right now, if you look at the Commodore thing, the top PSI ASI people, or a lot of them they're doing emulation, and they're taking it away from No, I mean, I'm not saying that the stuff isn't legit.
Right.
It is, but it's legit in its own way. It's like its own separate. They're not necessarily using. They could be using a gamepad, whereas a Commodore presumably would not. As far as I know, they might.
Right.
Commodore probably supported the joystick, but I don't think it actually supported a game pad, for
Right.
instance.
Right.
Or like our arcade stick. Commodore probably didn't have that.
Right. See, that's a whole nother separate issue, which is there already is some commingling that Twin Galaxies came with when I got it. Mm-hmm. And if we were to cleanly separate emulation from original, you'd want it to be consistent throughout the whole database. Am I right? Mm-hmm. So that means someone's got to go through and separate them manually. Whew.
It would be slow, but you could do it. You could create the new platform for like the Commodore, have new submissions go there, and then just over time, and there would kind of no hurry to migrate the others.
Yep.
No,
more
no,
Star
Don.
Trek, Geo. No more Star Trek.
There's a hurry on Commodore 64, okay? I'm just saying. All right, I get the nature of the problem. This is going to be, it's more work.
Hire a commissioner.
Twin Galaxies, let me tell you, literally represents an infinite amount of work. You can't get through it all. There's so much of it. That's what just so that you know, if you've seen Walter Day today, do you see how he looks? The man is only 17 years old.
That's
Twin Galaxies took the life out of him. That's what happened.
That shirt was originally all black.
Yeah, exactly. It's not you know what? I'm going to give away a secret about Walter he doesn't want you to know. That's not a shirt. He's shirtless. That striped thing, that's his skin. All right. Okay, so, all right, let me move on a little bit. Oh, look, the Founders page. Okay, the Founders page is for the people who contributed to the Right to Game campaign. We promised to make a Founders page for that that is like permanently permanent. No one else is getting on the Founders page for the Right to Game stuff. So it's actually been done for a while, but it never got transferred over. It got transferred over. I'm going to show you, but it's just not right now advertised. We haven't integrated it into a way to easily access it. It's let's see here. But if you want to see it, it's twingalaxies.com/founders.php, I think. Yep. Boom. And so these names they link to the profiles. Now, and there's another part to it that hasn't been implemented, which is your profile image will get the star on it. Like Don Atreides, you see him listed in the gold founders. There needs to be like a gold star on his profile image, so that that's recognized. Because this is all rarefied air. If you miss the opportunity to get one, you're out. Sorry, that's too bad. These are the people that stepped up at that moment, and so we'll be integrating this into the menu. We might put a Right to Game image or logo on the top here to put some context on it, but it's all here. So if I use Don as the example, if I click Don's name, it's going to take me to his player profile. You'll see all his records, and see there should be like a little gold star right here, or at least this is where I'm thinking of it, in the bottom left corner here. Representing Don as one of the Right to Game founders. And that is there. So Data God, Don is above Data God, of course. Actually, the order of this was random. It just so happened Don is on the top. Isn't that interesting? It's not alphabetical. I suppose we could sort it alphabetically, but that's just going to put Don at the top anyway. It's a tradies. So he wins no matter what. But yeah, look at Data God. He's right underneath. Click that. We see some Data and his gods right there. Doing the eraser head hairstyle. Have you ever seen that movie? All right. So yes, the founders page is in effect, and it's there. Okay. Momo2G, what's up? Welcome. Hanging out with us. We're hanging out, talking Twin Galaxy stuff. So Guinness World Records and us have been having lots of conversations. And my angle with them has always been, you know, let's figure out better ways to integrate, better ways to share our audiences with each other. And recently, i.e. this morning, I got an email from them saying that they had a big senior level meeting and that they're all really excited about advancing a closer relationship with Twin Galaxies. So I'm just letting you know that we are going to probably have more integration and opportunities with Guinness World Records. You know, hopefully, ideally, because remember, I want Twin Galaxies to promote the players up. So Guinness World Records has a pretty wide reach on their Facebook page and on their website and stuff, and I'd like to see Twin Galaxies represented there, players talked about there. So I think we're going to be able to do that and really bring Guinness in closer to us. So just know that it takes a lot, you know, for those of you who've worked with or accessed Guinness, you know they're not the fastest to respond to things. So it's taken a lot of work, a lot of consistency and time and energy on Twin Galaxies' behalf to get us this far. But I think, notice me, Fox in a Galaxy, I notice you. You have been noticed. All right. So just know that that's taking place. I've been working on that a lot. And, you know, I just want to have more increased prominence, more increased credibility for the Twin Galaxies community, which is growing, by the way. And, you know, this H1Z1 stuff has been going well. It really is looking like Twin Galaxies is a great place to draft top players for various video gaming sports. So I think we're gonna see more evolution there. How is the Twin Galaxy handling the win-loss record for EA Sports UFC 2? Benjamin Armory, it's not handling the win-loss record for EA Sports UFC 2 because those players in that community have not come to Twin Galaxies to participate and get their game represented, which they should, because it's really the only way that they can be sure that cheating's not taking place in, you know, what those guys are doing on an individual basis. So there you go. So that's what's going on with Guinness World Record in the updates. So just know that. How many subs do I have? We don't have a subscription. We don't charge people money for the Twin Galaxy stuff. Whenever I say Galaxy, I think you're talking. Yes, I am talking to you. And that's that. All right, so that's the extent of what I was able to gather up. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that you guys should be aware of? All the records went in to Guinness. I may have told you this already. I saw a rough layout draft of the next Guinness book, and it looks great. I see all the people who are in the next Guinness book. It's very cool. Your participation has counted. Is there anything else? Holotape. Boom. Glad you're watching. Yeah, Guinness Gamer's coming out. So I have preview of some of those pages, and well done for many people. What's up, Master Kush? Master Kush. My thoughts on the new Nintendo. My thoughts on Nintendo are always never underestimate Nintendo, ever. It's like for as long as there's been Nintendo, people have been underestimating that company, and they always prove everybody wrong every time. So, well, most of the time. So I say Nintendo. Well, that's just because I think Nintendo values the gameplay experience above most anything else. So they tend to get it right more often than wrong. What else have I seen? All kind of things happen. I can't remember. It's because there's too many. It's too many things. It's been interesting running Echo Fox. It throws me in the middle of the sort of the super high-end, high-paid player esports stuff, signing players to teams. These are people with huge social media followings and all this other stuff. And through me, these are younger players, and they discover Twin Galaxies, and I think it's awesome. So, I think you're going to see some interesting symbiosis taking place there. I believe top players in all categories should interact with each other and support each other. And they just need to know about each other. But until Twin Galaxies has risen the way it has, there really wasn't a good place for the interaction of top players from different genres, different categories and silos. And I think you're just going to see more of that interaction. Thanks to the community for welcoming the H1Z1 community in. Twin Galaxies is developing a presence inside of the H1Z1 community in general. Realize in that game we have a Twin Galaxies hoodie. So it's constantly, the community is being exposed to that. So that's a really good thing. And of course, those players are coming in and being exposed to your great gameplay on the platforms that you're playing. And it interests them. People have been telling me how, I really want to try to play this. Man, I forgot all about that old game. I want to play that game. The guy was so great. So to me, that's just like really, really cool. And of course, I'm going to endeavor to try to continue to bring in, more new players and grow the community that way. And then there's just all the different business meetings I have for Twin Galaxies. A lot of people, a lot of companies see competitive video gaming as like the new business to be in. There's not many good access points. Twin Galaxies is a good access point for that. So, do I know the game Grumps? Not personally. No. Yeah, esports will be on TBS. There's this thing called E-League, and they're doing Counter-Strike. It starts, I think, next week. Echo Fox has a Counter-Strike team that's actually participating in the E-League. So we'll be on television with that. And in fact, our team captain is sitting on the analyst desk of TBS. So the tentacles of Twin Galaxies are reaching into all these places. I'm like this. I'm trying to be a conduit by which classic historical champions on platforms like arcade or Nintendo or even Xbox or PlayStation, those players are brought in to sit side by side with, top Call of Duty teams or Street Fighter players or whatever, because they're all part of the same spectrum. And the sponsorship, because there's Echo Fox is bringing in sponsors and all this other stuff. The sponsorship wants to touch everything. So instead of having these separate universes all the time, and the CAG, the classic arcade gaming scene, doesn't have to be so isolated. You guys are champions in that space, and so you should rise with the entire tide and everything else. So Wes's Donkey Kong score got the most traction and views of any Donkey Kong score in the history of ever, basically, if you don't count the King of Kong movie, right? Why is that? Well, it's a couple things. There's this overall rise in interest in competitive gaming. The other thing is this Twin Galaxies, believe it or not, has extended itself and reached more people to make them aware of things in general. So if there's so when you add, and then all the stuff that the Donkey Kong community has done over time to elevate Donkey Kong and to talk about it, all these things are working together, and you're starting to see some of these things start to crest up, and there should be more of them, more of that, taking place. There's some broadcasts, some high-profile video game broadcasts that we want to do, and get good coverage on that relate to classics, because I still think arcade games and some of these classic games are really, really fun to watch from an audience perspective, because the audience can understand what's happening really fast. It doesn't look like League of Legends where you don't know what's going on. So, I'm encouraged by it. So, there you go. Is Todd still around? I haven't been around much lately, but never seen him. Yeah, Todd's actually here, Chunk Tech. He's in the other side of the building. He walked by a couple times. But yes, Todd is still around. Does anybody have any other questions whatsoever? Because I have 2 minutes left, and I want to make sure that I have at least helped people see the state of the Galaxies. Yes.
Okay, so entertainment related to this Twitch channel. What would you think about the Star Wars Power Hour, where we only play Star Wars games?
I think you guys should have done that when Star Wars movie was about to come out.
Well, you got to realize for the next...
they're never going to stop coming out.
They're not going to stop coming out now. Every year there's at least almost, or every 18 months. Yeah.
Listen, if you guys wanted to try that, and you could convince Neo to hook you guys up with a time slot, I'm all for watching some Star Wars Power Hour.
I'm thinking it should be after State of the Galaxies and settle it on the screen.
Listen.
No? Okay, no, Nick? Okay.
I mean, we could. That's just
We'll
that's
talk
a long
about
night.
scheduling. That is a long night. But it's Star Wars.
No, I know.
It's a little bit easier.
No, you're definitely right.
I say that Star Wars is always good. I got a question from Ayui. Am I attending EVO? Yes, I will be at EVO because Echo Fox will have players competing in it. Julio Fuentes. So I will be there for that. And also for Twin Galaxies to help spread the word and the gospel. For sure. Track and field weeks during Olympic. Hector, I want to do a track and field event so bad here at Twin Galaxies. It's so fun to watch people compete at track and field because of the physicality of it. Man, if I had like some track and field machines. Am I going to play Doom and stream it? Not the new Doom. I'll play the old Doom. I have 10 seconds remaining. So I guess I have to say goodbye to everybody. And thank you for watching. And please go to twingalaxies.com.
Bye.
I'll see you guys later. Bye.